Okay, so,
This meeting is being recorded.
all right, thank you. Roll call, please.
Chairman Maderos,
Here,
Vice Chair Delgado.
Present.
Delgado.
I said here.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Board Member Carrera,
Maria, I'm here.
and Board Member Morris Lopez.
Present.
All are in attendance. Thank you.
okay, that being said, it's time for the pledge. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So everybody can hear me pretty good, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see in the background, I'm standing here on the beach of Monterey. So if you're wondering where I'm at, I'm really in my home. So welcome to everybody, to the board members, and also to the public at large. Thank you for joining us tonight. That said, we'd like to introduce a new member of the Historic Resources Board member and the Planning Commission, but we'll take care of just a board member today. That's Tony Carrera. Am I pronouncing the last name correctly?
It's Korea, as in the country.
Okay. Again, I'd like to welcome him on board to the Historic Resources Board. For San Juan Bautista, welcome, Tony. We're glad to have you.
Thank you, David. And it's a pleasure to join the body and hope I can be some help.
I'm sure you will. We need a lot of help, to say the least. That said, also the public comments, we have just item number 3 here is public comments on items not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Historic Resources Board. So do we have anybody from the public who would like to speak before us, before we get started with anything else?
Is there anyone in the public wishing to speak on items not on the agenda? Please raise your hand. Or if you're on a phone, you can press *9 and *6 to unmute yourself. Is there anybody wishing to speak?
Right here.
Yeah, we have one Kara Vonk wishing to speak here at the council chambers.
Okay, thank you.
So this is on then.
Yes, it's on. We can hear you.
Okay,
Welcome,
great.
Cara.
Hi. Thank you. I have a request of the city, and that would be to post the historic resource inventory on our website, as well as the design guidelines and our historic plan. In years past, they were posted, and I think we have given it to the city numerous times, both in disc and I think as a thumb drive, as well as hard copy. And the reason I think this is important is because when people come to town and they're getting ready to buy a house, they should be on notice that perhaps this particular property is on the list, and therefore there will be subject to further review. And then I have a second request, and basically that's of the Historic Resources Board. And I would really like to see the board proactively try to obtain a grant, because we are a certified local government, a grant from the State Office of Historic Preservation, where we've gotten our prior grants from. And that would be to implement our bungalow historic district. And that would be a great project for the Historic Resources Board to take on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak before us right now? Any hands raised?
I see none on this side.
There are no other hands in the council chambers.
And I see none online, David.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in and standing in our hot room there at the city hall. So I hope it's starting to be a little cooler this afternoon. It won't be that bad, hopefully. But Cara, thanks for sweating through it, you might say. Okay, that with item 3, we got that. And are there any, it looks like there's no informal project reviews. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. And next item, item 5, action items, which we have items A and B. A being the approved affidavit of posting of the agenda. Do we have anything that we want to pull from that or have any comments or concerns about the approving it? Anyone from the board members? Anyone from public? And I'd like to entertain a motion right now to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve action item A and B.
No, we're that B is going to be separate for approval right
Okay.
now.
Okay, action item A then.
So we have a second on that.
Second,
Thank you. Can we have a roll call?
Okay, Vice Mayor Delgado?
Vice Chair, not Vice Mayor.
I was on the wrong committee.
That's okay. Yes.
Member Korea,
yes.
Member Morris,
Hold on one moment. I don't think Commissioner Camaria could, we had this issue with Dr. Baines and Morris Lopez commissioners. They couldn't approve the last meeting minutes because they weren't a part of it.
there are not minutes on here. This
These
is.
are not minutes.
Did you see it, Jenna? Okay, I'll say. Okay, okay, I'm good. Okay.
Should have been exposed to it.
I'm sorry, Board Member Morris Lopez. Jackie, I'm sorry.
So sorry, I was muted. My vote is yes.
Oh, thank you very much. And Chairman Maderas
Yes.
passes 4-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on action item is B, which is considered major site and design review for an historic resource stucco bungalow located at 903 3rd Street. The parcel number is 002-290-048 and make a recommendation to the Planning Commission. Approval of the site and design review is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15303 and 15305. Applicant Rich Holloway and representing Rakesh Agarwal. Hope I pronounced all the names correctly, but do we have a staff? Do we have a report on that, please? And I'd like to ask, what are we being recommending to, and how are we going to recommend it?
Okay, yes, of course. It's Brian Fouch. You're being asked today to review and recommend to the Planning Commission approval of a site and design review permit for historic resources. And you heard Ms. Vonk during the public comment portion referencing the Bungalow Historic Resources District. This project, this building is not within the district, but only, we believe, through omission. That is that there is a structure within San Juan Bautista that's very similar to this one that is within the district. And the inventory beginning in 1981 references 903 3rd Street as a significant historic resources, and subsequently the context statement and inventory in 2016 references this building as part of the or would reference this building as part of the Craftsman Bungalow Stucco Historic Resource District, assuming that there was one established. I think that what we would like to see, the status code for this building references the need for it. Any changes with respect to this building, especially structural changes as are being proposed here, would require an evaluation by an architectural historian and a recommendation to the Historic Resources Board to assess the historic significance of the structure. And understanding that this building was first noticed in spring and May 2022. And we believe that with good intentions, the applicant's contractor was seeking to exercise a minor site and design review permit for a small addition at the back, and ended up discovering significant structural problems due to dry rot throughout the building. And that resulted in more extensive removal of the character defining features of this building than was originally intended. And at that point, city staff issued a stop work order pending a full evaluation of the historic character of the building, and also to make sure that we had a recommendation from a qualified historian regarding further renovation of the building, and so that the historic character of the building really, compared to other structures within the Bungalow Historic Resources, what would be the Bungalow Historic Resources District contained. And so even though this building is not within, is not recognized as being part of that group, we're pretty confident that with further evaluation that it will be added. So our recommendation first is that and I won't bother to go through the historic resources evaluation. I know the applicant is here and can talk about the construction project itself, and also the architectural historian that conducted the review is also here, Meg Clovis, and she can go through her evaluation. Her evaluation was subject to peer review by Kent Seavey, who was the original author of our 1981 Historic Resources Inventory. Mr. Seavey did find that report was adequate, made some comments regarding window treatment, which Ms. Clovis also addressed in a supplementary report. These reports and the peer review are a matter of record before the Historic Resources Board this evening. With that, I would like to just simply make a small correction to the staff report. There is no resolution here that the Historic Resources Board is being asked to adopt. It's simply a recommendation to the Planning Commission, at which time there will be a resolution. And there is in the staff report a list of findings and evidence that the Historic Resources Board will be asked to recommend to the Planning Commission, as well as a small set of conditions of approval, really oriented to making sure that as construction proceeds with this building, that appropriate monitoring and reporting by the applicant's architectural historian occurs, and those monitoring reports will not be subject to peer review, given the qualifications of the applicant's historian. So with that, another small correction. This project is exempt per CEQA guidelines section 15301, and also San Juan Bautista Municipal Code section 11-06-120, subsections 5 and C. With that, I would like to basically turn it over to the chair to request that the applicant provide additional information. I know that they have several people here. The project construction company representatives are here, as well as Ms. Clovis. With that, that'll conclude the staff report.
Thank you, staff. Yeah, okay, so we've got representing the structure itself and the renovation of it, or the development of it, you might say, as well. Who would like to speak first? Like to have the owners speak first? Is that whatever?
Yeah,
you feel
I can go first.
whatever you feel comfortable with.
We could do that if that it works.
Sure, that's fine. However you feel comfortable with, we would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Great. Do we have the floor?
Yes, you do.
Thanks.
There's no time limit or anything. Just go.
Okay,
Tell us what you'd like to say to us.
we'll be super brief. Thanks for letting us talk here. Yeah, so my name is Rakesh Agarwal.
I'm Sonia Torres.
And we
Welcome.
purchased. Hi,
Thank
thank
you.
you. So we purchased the 903 3rd Street property in 2017 as a second home. And we've spent many weekends there. And I myself have used it as a base for volunteering trips to Pinnacles National Park. And over the past few years, we have come to like San Juan Bautista really a lot, to the point that we very much like to make this home, the 3rd Street home, our primary residence. Right now, we live about an hour away from town. To this end, we wanted to expand the existing 1,000 square foot cottage while keeping its craftsman look intact, a look that appeals to us both. And we have plans drawn up, and the plans were reviewed by the city, and we got a permit dated February 15th to begin construction. The estimated completion date for the work was roughly June of this year. But, having done some construction work before, I knew that things always take a little longer. So from a budgeting and planning point of view, I gave time for some delays and thinking that September would be a good conservative date to think about moving in there, However, we were told sometime, I think in late May, that a stop work order had been issued. For me, there have been a great many confusing exchanges on what is needed, but from what I see, the work never exceeded the plans that were approved by the permit. Others will speak about the reasons for the confusion, but as the owners, let me say that the delays we're facing through no fault of our own on our part is proving to be prohibitively expensive. So just to give you an idea, roughly, I would say over $7,000 a month that the project is delayed, and just from our side. So I'm hoping that this review body will see that, and I hope that we can resume construction as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak there? You had, okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Is anybody else going to speak on behalf of the structure and the did Meg Clovis, did you want to say something? You may do so if you want.
Yes, good evening, board members. I wanted to just sort of clarify the status codes of this project. It was originally assigned a 7R status code, which means it was not evaluated, while all the other ones had received a status code of 5D3, which meant it was a contributor to the district. I did talk to members of the Historical Society, and in particular Sheila Prater, and she was working on the survey at the time, and she thinks it was just an oversight.
Excuse me, this is board member Morris Lopez. Can you please identify your relationship to the project owners. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Okay, sorry. I'm the architectural historian on the project,
Thank you.
Meg Clovis.
Thank you.
That was announced earlier.
There's some new people that signed into the meeting. It's kind of nice to have introductions. Thank you, Chair.
So as I was saying, I think it was just an oversight. According to Sheila, she said that they were running out of money and running out of time. And the 7R status code is often used. I can tell you from experience in Monterey and in Pacific Grove, it's used extensively there. So it doesn't mean that it's not necessarily a historic structure. It just needs to be reevaluated. So that's why in my report, I suggested that a new DPR is developed for the property and also describing the changes that are happening currently. So thank you. I'm happy to answer any other questions if they come up.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clovis. Also, I understand Rich Holdaway, you're part of this project too as well. Do you have something you might want to say before us?
Yes.
Could you please relate to your relationship to the project?
Yeah, my name is Rich Holdaway. I'm the general contractor working on the project for the Agarwal family. And just for a little bit of reference, my parents are both born and raised in San Juan, and my grandfather's built Harmony Hills. So I've spent a lot of time in my youth. Most of my family's buried in San Juan. So I have a lot of history with that town, and I have a lot of love for that town. And when we started this project, I asked very, very clearly with our architect and with the owners and with everybody to make sure there was no major historical issues with this house, because the stucco was pretty bad. There's a lot of things that were pretty wrong. And from the start, things were going fine. And when we got the back section of the house, which the additional part, the brand new addition, we got that set up to join the two buildings together. Our new structure, based on elevation, based on the way that the elevation of the existing home should be, there was a massive offset on the back corners. So we peeled back some stucco to see what was going on with the stem wall and the foundation. And that's when we discovered that it was basically crumbling. And for the IBC, the code book that I basically my Bible, when you're putting a brand new truss system on a home, you start from the foundation and work your way up to make sure that the foundation will hold this new truss system that we got approved to put on the house. And so that's basically what happened. Is we were opening attaching the two buildings together and realized that the structure was rotten, that we had several pieces of our stem wall that were falling apart. And the stucco had shown signs all throughout of fatigue. And I'm really, really familiar with those homes and all of the aspects of what a historical guideline house has, which is why we never took the posts down from the front. They don't have stucco on them, but we left the posts in place so we could get the proper elevations and angles. And there's a bunch of wood trim that's special to these homes that we left in place. So the point was never to cause more problems. The point was to actually fix a problem that these old homes, that we deem valuable through their historical values. Oftentimes we're finding they're not as safe as we would like them to be. And so that was basically where we came to a standstill.
Okay. Thank you so much for that information. Okay, anybody else on behalf of the owners, or I guess that's it according to staff? Is that all we have as far as guest speakers?
Yes, Chair Medeiros. I'd just like to mention that Rich Holdaway is the applicant on behalf of the owner. And we do have, approval from the owner for that status. So with respect to the DPR, that is a condition of approval. In addition to the monitoring, there are colors and materials that were proposed. And I'd just like to put those up for just a second so that people, the audience, can see exactly what's being proposed. See if I have, I'm pretty sure I have those. Yeah. Okay, just give me a second here. Okay, so you can see the colors and materials that are intended to be used. Again, this is going to be reclad with stucco material. That process will be monitored by Meg Clovis. And these are the colors that are intended to be used. These have been reviewed and approved by the applicant's architectural historian, and also lighting features have also been selected to be used. With that, I'd like to also just briefly share the staff report portion with respect to the conditions of approval. And you can see here the colors and materials referenced in the staff report. Portions of the staff report deal with zoning compliance, which is important for site and design review. And then a review of the historic preservation ordinance requirements for the project, and the process that we have to go through as we deal with projects of this nature. And then we want as I said, we want prior to issuance of a building permit, the applicant to submit a monitoring plan that will be prepared by Ms. Clovis. And that we also would like to see detailed plans for repair and renovation of the front porch, the porch canopy, support columns, roof framing, consistent with the design guidelines to maintain the original porch design and appearance, and then plans to illustrate the character defining features of buildings within the Stucco Bungalow Historic District once it's established, referenced in the City of San Juan Bautista inventory context statement. And then, not specifically related to the building itself, we'd like at least a concept plan for landscaping to be submitted. The site itself is pretty significantly altered, and so we'd like to see how the site itself will be refurbished with landscaping. And then, as Ms. Clovis indicated, a new DPR form would be appropriate following reconstruction of the building, and we've referenced the status code here, 5D3, although which makes it properties recognized as historically significant by San Juan Bautista, appears to be eligible for local listing. So with that, those details, staff is recommending that. As stated in the staff report in the very beginning, as far as recommended actions are concerned, that the Historic Resources Board recommend that the Planning Commission approve a site and design review permit subject to conditions and based on findings referenced in the staff report, and that hearing will occur on October 4th. With respect to the delay of the project, yes, there was delay pending review by the architectural historian, and took some time to find the right person for that to occur. And then, but we're also, our building department is working together with the applicant, and will continue to do so throughout the month of September to identify ways that the project construction can move forward pending Planning Commission review. And I've explained to the applicant that with some confidence represented by the HRB's decision, that that process can continue. And we call that a combination permit, which enables an applicant to go through and continue with the building permit while discretionary review is underway. I wouldn't recommend that without affirmative action by the Historic Resources Board. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, staff. All right, so now I think I'd like to ask the board members at this time if they have any questions for any one of the speakers, for staff, or what have you. So let's start with Jackie Morris Lopez. If you have any questions that you might want to
Commissioner,
explore. Pardon me?
Chair Maderos, Caravon would like to speak.
Okay, I was going to open it to the public right after, if there was any questions from the board members that need clarity or anything that's been presented so far. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me turn it back to the board members. So Jackie, do you have any questions you might want to dialogue with anyone of the presenters or staff?
Just thank you, Chair Maderos. Thank you, everyone that's present, and I appreciate the speech by the owner. I hear you. I sympathize with you, in regards to the delay and the confusion in the beginning and the onset of your project. And I appreciate that you want to live in our lovely town and make this your primary residence. So hopefully we can get on board and make that happen for you all in accordance with our historical preservation codes and building codes. And it sounds like all the important players are in place now. There's one gentleman, if you would so entertain me, Mr. Tristan Clayson. Who is he and what relationship to this project, please?
Hello. I'm actually a consultant that works with Holdway Construction and several other consultants or construction companies in the area. The reason I was kind of brought on to oversee this project was initially for the safety of the project. When we initially started doing the tear down, one of the reasons the front steps by the porch were torn out was the concrete was giving way. And we also discovered very quickly that the wood going into the existing structure was dry rotting. So and this is what was interesting to me is earlier when we opened it up for the public and they brought up the bungalow district and some additional review of those buildings. I've not in California, but in Nevada, I've seen situations like this where an error on a report or a new discovery of problems in historic buildings can trigger an entire new review period for an entire district and cause pretty major issues for a town. And we don't want to see that happen. What we're hoping, and what I've been trying to advise Holdway Construction on is how do we favor the safety of the current generation when we're doing these projects while still trying to preserve the memories of the previous generation. And of course, the lives of people now are more important than those who have passed. But this project has presented a unique set of circumstances that I do hope that the board considers those things that were brought up during the public presentation. We may run into this problem again and again and again with these structures, dry rot. And so my role, just to answer the original question, sorry, I went off on a tangent, but my role has been to ensure that as the project moves forward, that it's meeting safety and quality guidelines, not necessarily historical guidelines. The historical guidelines or the historical goal of this project is going to be a cosmetic surface issue ultimately, but this project needs some good new bones in those joined areas from the top to the bottom in order to be able to support this new weight for this addition. So that's ultimately our goal, is to have a house that looks the same as before, but just bigger.
Thank you. So I guess my other comment is, actually I have one other question, or maybe I just want to reiterate what I heard.
I was asking for questions.
Okay, so questions, sorry, redirecting me, thank you. I guess I have no other questions. I'll go ahead and pass it on to the next board member and then the public. Thank you.
Thank you. How about board member Tony Correa? Do you have any questions? To
Yeah, I
staff
have one
or
question.
presenters?
And this goes to my role is, this project is located within 500 feet of my residence in San Juan Bautista. I don't believe it causes any conflict of interest because it creates no financial impact upon me, but I need to make sure that I'm in compliance. And Brian had sent me a number of documents that suggested that if there's no financial impact, then I can address the issue, but I want to make sure that I don't have to recuse myself because of the 500-foot rule.
Yes, I can help with that. The FPPC's advice in these situations is that a commissioner within 500 feet, if your property may benefit by the improvement, should not participate in the vote. And this is property that you own, that you live in. It's not owned by a relative. It's owned by you, and because of that, it's possible that property improvements in the area could benefit you. And so our advice, consistent with the FPPC's advice, is that you recuse yourself from the vote this evening on this matter.
I concur with Brian. I'm the city clerk, and it is a 500-foot clearance. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for making us aware of that. So I believe, Tony, you're going to have to recuse yourself.
Okay, no.
Thank you.
And I'd just like to add, this is not always automatic. You know, the circumstances of each individual within 500 feet of a project has to be ascertained, and then a decision made, you know, as indicated by the clerk. So I think city attorney would and has agreed with that. So I just like to mention that we look at each one individually.
Again, thank you, staff. Okay, that said, board member Delgado, do you have any questions you would like to present to us? On behalf of the action item we have before us.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Tony Correa, for taking time to help out the city. Thank you for caring. To the residents of 903, thank you for going out of your way to go find Meg Clavis and Rick Holiday and Tristan Clayson for doing your due diligence. My question is to Brian. They are not on the historical line right now. They were mentioned, but they've never followed through. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
903 is referenced as early as the 1981 inventory. It's also referenced in the 2001 inventory, and the 2006 inventory and context statement references these sorts of bungalows as being representative. So the fact that it's in our inventory, our current inventory, with the status code that requires an evaluation, is why we're here today. With the evaluation that's part of the record before the board this evening.
Okay. I'm sorry that you had so much termite damage, but these are older homes, and I like the concept. I like it all, and I know you need to make it safe for you to live there safe. And I really appreciate you guys going to Meg Clovis and doing your historical due diligence and wanting to work with our historical society. So I'm just glad that they took this upon themselves, and I have no other questions.
Thank you, board member. Okay, that being said, I'll open it up to the public. Do we have any public comments, questions, concerns?
Yes, we do here in the council chambers.
Is none in the council chambers? I'm sorry, Brian.
Yes, here in the council chambers, Kara Vonk.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Cara Vonk, and I am a member of the San Juan Bautista Historical Society, but I am here strictly as an individual and member of the community. I'm not representing their views. I too want to say that it's really unfortunate that the owners had to encounter these significant setbacks to the remodel of their Craftsman bungalow. And as the saying goes, unfortunately, in for a penny, in for a pound. And apparently that's what's happened to you. There have been some discussions about the window, and it was mentioned both in both of the architectural historians report. And I believe it would be left up to the owners whether they wanted to make that change. But it would be really, really cool if you could just take that go that extra mile and put in an appropriate Craftsman style window. Maybe you can even get one, just off the shelf. And then that was my main point. And then I do have a question about the materials. And I saw listed there Tesla tiles. Are these those expensive solar Tesla tiles that you're going to be putting up? Because if so, I hope so. They look beautiful. So that was my question. Thank you.
That would be a question that the applicants.
Oh, okay. So did you want us to speak? Oh, I see. Yes, the idea is, is to do our best to make the place energy efficient. And the idea is to put a Tesla roof tiles. We're big fans of electric, trying to move to electric to avoid, reduce the carbon footprint on how we live. So that was the idea there, That said, just to be totally clear, we have made deposits and so forth with Tesla, but they're long lead time. So there's some question that this may or may not work out, but we'll do everything we can to have it be so. If that answers the question.
Thank you. Are there any of, yep. Okay, thank you. Are there any other public comments, concerns, questions?
At this time, is there anyone else in the public wishing to speak? Please raise your hand. I see no other hands raised at this time. Thank you.
And no one in the
Okay,
council
thank you.
chambers.
Okay, thank you. That said, where do we go from here? Let's go. I didn't have any questions. Pardon me? Did somebody say something? Okay, I didn't have any questions. I kind of go along with all. It's kind of easy copying out. I can just go with everybody's questions and comments. It's pretty much what I was asking. One of the things that I thought that as far as this project was concerned, I think, to stick to the original architectural design that was originally built for the building and to staying with that. I'm comfortable that the staff, San Juan Bautista staff will help me with that, whatever it takes. I also have every confidence that there will be less delays and the staff and city will do everything they can to expedite matters. So whatever details you can provide us with, if you can afford to put the things in. I know the windows aren't original. And I think they do need to look at that a little bit more carefully. But I do want to welcome all that's involved with this project. I really believe that you're all doing a tremendous job and doing the right thing here for you. And I know the staff will help you make sure that that happens. So that said, who would like to entertain a motion to move this item forward? Action item.
David, I will do that, but I have a question for Brian. If we pass this today, how quickly can they start with their construction?
Yes, well, there are some engineering requirements that the building official has before construction can begin, and that's really up to the applicant at this point. And then once we receive the information, hopefully during the month of September, the remaining time here, we can have the necessary permit issued to allow the construction to begin. But it's really difficult to say how quickly that can occur.
Okay. Well, I would like to make a motion to move this up to the Planning Commission. Is that how I'd say it?
This is Board Member Morris Lopez. I'm sorry, but I have one last question, if I may.
Okay.
Permission to speak?
You may.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chair. So my question is to Brian. I thought I heard there is not a additional peer review required for this design for this project. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then also a second question. The permit goes forward contingent on a DPR.
The project can go forward and a condition of approval regarding the DPR with a new status code would be necessary prior to occupancy. So we would not require that until the project is complete.
Okay, so no peer review and DPR until the project is completed.
That's correct. Yeah, we've had enough. We had Kent CV conduct the peer review, and that peer review was complementary to the report, and all we need now is to monitor the project accordingly.
And that would be yourself, Brian, or whom?
We're looking for Meg Clovis to continue working with the applicant to produce those monitoring reports. We do the same thing with Casa Rosa, for example. The applicant is required to submit monitoring reports verifying that the original evaluation of the project regarding historic character defining features is accomplished, and we have a record of those, that's sufficient for our purpose.
Okay, and that would be to at specific intervals at junctures in the rehab of the building and whatnot, correct?
That would not be done on a time basis, but would be done with as the construction encounters the need for that monitoring. For example, as the stucco is applied, there would be some review there. As the paint is applied, there would be some review there to make sure the appropriate primer is being used and the appropriate paint is being used. So, for example.
Okay, and then more importantly, the new bones of the building, that would be inspected along the way as well to make sure that that is to code and safety for the rehab and furthering with the construction, correct? Since we already determined that it looks like there's substantial rehab that needs to be taken place.
Yes, that's pursuant to a building permit.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, so Yolanda,
I will make.
I gather you were entertaining a motion that you were going to make.
I'm going to entertain this motion to pass to the Planning Commission so they can move forward with the what does it say?
Resolution.
Resolution.
To establish a resolution?
Yes, I'm trying to find. Yes.
Your recommended action is on the first page of the staff report.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah. The staff recommend the approval of resolution establishing guidelines, principles, and the county authorize the city council.
No. Your recommended action would be that the planning commission approve a site plan and design review permit for historic resources subject to conditions and based on findings contained in the staff report dated September 6, 2022.
That's what I want to say. Exactly what Brian said.
You want to say so move on that?
So moved.
Do I have a second? I need a second. I got to move.
I second that, Chair.
All right, thank you. But can we have roll call on that? Or either agree or did it just, or to accept or not accept? Can we have a roll on that? Roll call. City Clerk?
Vice Chair Delgado,
Yay.
Board Member Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Maderas,
Yes.
and for the record, Mr. Correa.
Recuse.
Thank you very much. Passes 3 and 1 recusal.
Thank you, everybody. So the recommendation for staff recommends that the Historic Resource Board recommend that the Planning Commission approve a site plan and design review permit subject to condition and based on findings contained in the staff report dated September 6th that will be covered for the Planning Commission on October 4th has been approved. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is comments, item 6. Planning commissioners, planning commissioner, how about board members? Board member Delgado, do you have any other comments you want to bring before us today?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Board member Jackie Morris Lopez, do you have any comments you have for us today before we conclude?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for everyone in attendance for the meeting and congratulations to the homeowners on their project and all of the expertise that went into the hard work to present the staff report today. Thank you, staff. And also welcome to our newest HRB board member, Mr. Tony Correa. Welcome. And I read your CV and I'm very excited to have you on board. You will bring lots of experience, lots of ideas, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of my account, I do want to thank Tony for coming on board. I think you did an excellent job today. We expect a lot from you. I know you're going to do great for us. I want to thank staff. Great report. Nice. And city clerk for the first time, I think, with us. Welcome aboard with us. You did great too. Thank you all for this meeting. Do we have any comments from our community development director?
Yes, just one thing. I'll make it brief. I'll share my screen. And recently we received some information from the historic California Historic Preservation regarding a preservation boot camp for local governments. Maybe some of you have attended this in the past, but there are 3 different sessions on framework ordinances, CLG, forming a certified local government, CEQA, and Secretary of the Interior standards. And then there are some things here that could be interesting. The Mills Act, tax credits, and we haven't activated the Mills Act here, but it's something to consider. And then, of course, we do utilize the California Historic Building Code, which will be used for all of our renovations. And then, looking at, the historic integrity of our resources and resource surveys, context statements, and so forth. So this is a great learning opportunity. I know a couple of commissioners have already decided that they would like to attend. And the city will, of course, foot the bill because it's something that's very important that we have this good, great skill set on the board. Okay, and that concludes the information that I have.
Again, thank you, Brian. Thank you, staff. Again, I want to welcome all the presenters today for your help. You made our meeting a lot more enjoyable. The presenters that were mentioned today, thank you for coming. Thank you for the public for making this meeting special for all of us. That being said, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that.
I didn't hear the first one.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting. This is Commissioner Delgado.
We got that, and we got a second. Thank you so much. What do we, let's have a roll call on that too as well. Thank you. From City Clerk.
Vice Chair Delgado,
Aye.
Member Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Member Correa,
Yes.
Chairman Maderos.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's take a 5-minute recess, please. For the next one, Planning Commission.
Let's do it.
Brian, I can't, it won't let me put the recording on pause, Brian.
It's not a nice.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so I guess Tony Correa's back, and Jackie, are you here? Jackie?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, it's 7:09 and we're going to begin the Planning Commission meeting. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to Government Code 54953E1A. In order to minimize the spread of COVID virus, the Planning Commission is conducting this meeting via webinar and will offer other alternative options for the participations. You are engaged to watch the meeting live on Facebook, Zoom or Facebook. Okay, with that, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you like to do roll call?
Oh, yes, I should do roll call. Yes, please do roll call. I'm sorry.
Chairman Delgado,
Present.
Vice Chair Morris Lopez,
Present.
Commissioner Correa,
Here.
Commissioner Maderos,
Here.
all present. Thank you.
Okay. So let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Let's stand. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, stands for the nation one God,
One nation
under God, indivisible,
and justice for all.
for all.
Oh.
Okay. With that, is there any public comments or items not on the agenda, but within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission? This portion of the meeting is reserved for person desiring to address the commission on matters that are not on the agenda. The law does not permit commissioners' action or extension discussion of any item not on the agenda except upon special circumstances. If the commission's action is requested, the commission may place a matter on a future agenda. Lori, is there any
Let me go to Brian. Let me go to Brian first and see if there's anybody in the council chambers that's wishing to speak. No, Brian's not there. Okay, is there anyone in the audience online that would like to speak? Please raise your hand. You can press *9 or *6 to unmute yourself. At this time, I see no hands raised.
Okay,
Thank you.
with that, we'll go to action item 3A to approve affidavit of the posting. Do I have a first?
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second that.
Okay, could we have a roll call, Lori, please?
Commissioner Maderos,
Yes.
Vice Chair Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Correa,
Yes.
and Chairperson Delgado.
Yes.
5-0 or 4-0. Thank you.
Okay, with that, Brian, can you talk to us about 3B? Right?
Yes, can you indicate what that item is?
That is 3B, considering measures to evaluate accessory dwelling units, ADUs, for the safety and security.
Very good. Okay, I'll start share my screen. And hoping that you all can see this and just check that off. Okay, that should be
That's good, Brian.
So the idea here is that we don't, various members of the Planning Commission have been interested in how well we understand our accessory dwelling unit population in San Juan Bautista. And in particular, are some of these units former second residential units that were previously authorized by the zoning ordinance, or some of them not permitted? How many of them are compliant with the residential building code and other things like addressing? And so safety and security is an issue here for some accessory dwelling units that may not have been permitted. It's been assumed that they're okay and they're established. Our current accessory dwelling unit ordinance has an amnesty provision that allows units to come in regardless of zoning compliance for the most part, provided that they adhere to residential building code, fire code, uniform fire code safety standards. And that amnesty program is written into the accessory dwelling unit ordinance, understanding that there probably are units that we don't know about. So this is an effort by the Planning Commission to request that the City Council add this evaluation as part of the city's strategic plan, whether that's this year, 2022-23, or whether it's in a subsequent year strategic plan. Our recommendation then is for the Planning Commission to make a formal request to the City Council to enable that evaluation to occur. Because these things, these sorts of evaluations need to be programmed as part of our strategic plan effort, so that we can budget funds and staff time accordingly. So that's the staff report. And I'll just scroll through the resolution very briefly here. This is where the City Council authorized establishment of an accessory dwelling unit ordinance, which you may recall. I still remember it painfully. There, where, accessory dwelling units provide a housing opportunity for people who may have difficulty finding a regular standard apartment or house. And then we have regulated second residential units in the past, and we are now regulating accessory dwelling units, as I said, through building code compliance, fire code compliance, and the amnesty program. And so here you have your resolution requesting that City Council direct staff to identify existing non-conforming or illegal ADUs with the intent of ensuring or to ensure that such units comply with building code and uniform fire code regulations. And that summarizes this agenda item.
Thank you, Brian. Lori, do we have anybody in the comment in the public that would like to speak about this?
At this time, is there anybody in the public wishing to speak on this item? Please raise your hand. I see no one raising their hand at this time. Is there anybody in the council chambers wishing to speak? Brian, unmute yourself, please. Brian, was there anybody in the chambers?
Yes, I'm sorry, there is. I was muted.
Oh,
Karavankas wishes to speak.
thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Sure, yes.
Oh, good. Okay. I know that we have to make sure that all of our housing is safe, but I'm a little bit concerned about the enforcement aspect because this could potentially affect the members of our community who are, how do I put it, less fortunate. You know, because I know of some places where people are living that are probably, you know, like converted garage or something like that. And I don't know, you know, enforcement. Are these people going to get kicked out? We're really becoming a really gentrified community here, you know, with all of the housing prices that are going up. I'm really concerned about this because a lot of people are going to be put out on the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Karavank. Is there anyone else in the forum wanting to speak? Brian?
There's no one else in the council wishing to speak.
Okay, let's go through this with the commissioners. David, do you have anything to say about this?
No, not. One question I might add is what do we have in place? Because I'm thinking that we do have codes, we have enforcement when it comes to safety, when it comes to living quarters, what have you, that the municipal code goes over. I'm wondering if we're just doubled down on something that's already there. I wonder if staff has anything to say about that.
Yes, right now we enforce our accessory dwelling unit requirements and our residential building code requirements through a complaint process. So if someone's aware that there is an accessory dwelling unit and they're concerned about the safe operation of that unit, they would let us know, and then we would ask the fire department to conduct an inspection, and the building official would also conduct an inspection to determine whether there are any changes necessary. The planning staff would look at whether or not permits are necessary under the circumstances of the amnesty program. So the answer is yes, but it is not a concerted, organized effort as represented in the resolution.
So we might have to have additional staffing time to do this type of work and also upkeep of that as far as keeping records, what have you. Okay, thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chair Correa, any comments, questions, or concerns on this?
Being relatively new to this game, I'm not sure exactly what has happened in the past, but I would echo the efforts, the comments from the public. I think Kara is her name. Certainly housing is difficult and challenging, to say the least, here in this little village. And I would hate to see any action by the city that would remove any housing units from the current inventory. But I understand the need for safety and compliance at the same time.
Thank you, Chair Correa. Vice Chair Morris Lopez, any comments or concerns, questions?
Yes, thank you. So to speak to public comment by Ms. Karavank, I understand your comment, and I believe that Co-Commissioner Correa also has stated as such. Housing is at a premium here. And I think the initial intent, if I'm not mistaken, and Chair Delgado can elaborate on this when she speaks, and because I also, along with her, we're co-commissioners that had really brought this to the forefront. And our whole intent was to get a count simply of the ADUs previous to the California law that opened up the floodgates to allow ministerial construction of ADUs as an answer to the lack of affordable housing in California. Our intent was not to exclude or banish people from existing ADUs that maybe have not met code. I think Brian Fouch addressed that in terms of the amnesty part of the code. I feel that we truly wanted it in terms of safety, such as if there was a fire or a medical emergency, because we didn't know exactly where all these pre-existing ADUs are. They don't have their own address. They're attached to another main or principal residence. It would pose difficulty in response by an emergency team, i.e. fire, i.e. medical EMT. So that was our sole intent. It was never to be a punishing action. It was simply to get a count and also to see if this count could be reflected in an exact number of what we needed to come up to our RHNA quota. And I plead ignorant on this one, stating that perhaps these wouldn't even be counted towards our current RHNA needs. But the sole and initial intent was to find out where these dwellings were. So in terms of safety response to them was simply our intent. But I agree with Commissioner Correa and also Public Member Cara Vonk that our village is becoming, looking more and more a certain way. And there have been a few young families that I'm aware of that have moved out to other counties because of the lack of affordability of the housing stock in our community currently, and also maybe in the future. And I think it's time that we start addressing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And I'll speak on this. I don't want to have someone living in unsafe conditions in the garage. It's not fair to them. I've talked to Dawn about the safety, about some of these ADUs are not even attached to the homes. And if there's somebody having a seizure, a heart attack, a stroke, where would the EMTs, the police, the fire go? I'm on the safety committee as Dawn, and Rachel Ponce is always saying, no one knows where our town is. They can't say by this, the old so-and-so barn. And we would know, like Rich Brown would know, the older generation. So I want this for safety, for security, for the EMT, the fire, and the police, and also for the RHNA. And I believe these people living in these ADUs need to live in safe conditions. I went to a property where I was thinking of buying in town, and they had somebody living in the garage, and it was not up to code. It was unsafe. We have to make this safe for the people as well that live in them. Dawn and I had a conversation about this, and we came to this term to put it on, to push it forward to the city council. Thank you, Dawn. So it helps us all. If the RHNA, we count these ADUs, which they have, and I've sent some stuff to Dawn indicating that the addresses do count to our ADUs, reduces the RHNA that we have to build. Like if they say 30 houses need to build and we have 50 ADUs, I'm just using these numbers, then we don't have to force the issue of building. And I also love this little town of San Juan. That's why I retired here in 2009. And I want to keep it afloat. I want it to grow within our means, because San Juan Bautista is in a unique town. No houses, no rules are the same. And I want to keep it that way, but I understand that we do need to allow growth, but let's do growth that's good for the community and our infrastructure that we can send to them. Just look at those houses on the highway. They bought those homes for 800,000 right by the hotels, and now they're making that express right up against their walls. Do you think that was told to them when they bought it? I don't think so. So that's all I'm saying. We need to keep this safe and secure for the citizens of San Juan. And with that, does anybody want to make a motion to pass the resolution of the City of San Juan Bautista Planning Commission recommend that the City Council direct the city manager to incorporate an accessory dwelling unit identification and enforcement program as a component to the city's strategic plan?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. Could we have a roll call? Lori, please.
I'm sorry. I need a clarification. Mr. Maderos made the first and Morris Lopez made the second.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Chairman Commissioner Maderos?
No.
No. Commissioner Correa?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris Lopez?
Yes.
And Chair Delgado?
Yes.
Passes 3-1. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next is informational items 4A. Brian, can you take it away, please? Brian?
You'll need to unmute Brian.
Sorry about that. Let me do that over again. So as you know, if you're paying attention to the community plan program and recent city council review of aspects of the community plan that's currently underway, we did go through on this plan. We went through a series of public meetings, culminating in a joint planning commission city council meeting at the VFW hall. People that attended will remember that meeting. And then subsequently, there was some discussion about whether the community, even though the scope of work for this program and the budget and the schedule all have been approved, recommended to the city council by the planning commission, approved by the city council based on that recommendation. There is some confusion and maybe some mystery about, even though everyone understands that we need a sphere of influence and everyone understands the basic objective and the need for local control over areas of our city and areas outside our city that significantly affect our character, community character, and our historic ambiance through those landscapes. And we are talking about land and agricultural production. We're talking about grazing land. We're talking about areas that are currently within conservation easements. And we're also talking about areas that the city may wish to have developed consistent with the city's design guidelines. And we didn't anticipate that there would be development. There would be no need for design guidelines. So, I think the city understands that there will be currently, of course, the 2035 general plan anticipates that there will be, there's a growth rate assumed in that general plan. So all of this really, I think, has us understand that the city does need to plan for the future. We need to plan for growth, and we need to be in control of how that growth will occur, consistent with the city's objectives outlined in the current general plan. And there's some very powerful policies in the general plan that address community character. And our objective here with respect to guiding principles and presenting these to the city council is to expand on those policies in the general plan and those implementation measures, so that as we work through this community plan, everyone understands what the overall objective is. And oftentimes in a program like this, a planning program like this, we start with guiding principles so that people understand what it is we're actually trying to accomplish. And those guiding principles are usually established by the city councils, boards of supervisors, and are really provide a foundation for work and planning as it goes forward and as the community considers alternatives. And so our thought is that we really need to take a couple steps back and make sure that the community, city council in particular, planning commission, city council understands that we are all about general plan consistency as we move the community plan forward, because that is the context for the community plan that we're working on. So I'd like to just go through real quickly the guiding principles that the city council is considering. Again, this is an information item. It is not on the agenda for discussion. It's to inform the Planning Commission regarding a critical piece of planning that's currently underway. It will, whatever happens at City Council, we're hoping it will, there will be a decision on these principles and whether we hit the mark or not coming up on September 20th. And if that's not the case, then so be it. However, in the meantime, it's important that people understand that these guiding principles are based on the general plan that we currently have. And so what we'd like to do is just kind of go through them. And I'll start with number one. Community plan will involve concepts: sphere of influence, urban growth boundary, planning area, municipal service areas, and configure these areas in a manner that preserves, protects, and enhances San Juan Bautista's unique and special character. And item number two, community plan shall accomplish overall preservation, conservation, and development policies, guidelines, standards consistent with the general plan. We're not talking about doing a program here that is inconsistent and that will change fundamentally the general plan. These are this program is intended to augment general plan reference to standards that are already referenced in the general plan. And then the community plan will develop guidelines and measures designed to accomplish protection, preservation, enhancement of the essential character of San Juan Bautista, and that we're going to develop overall guidelines that will apply to all areas, all the four quadrants of the city, and address these particular topics that you see listed here. And the city council may come up with other topic areas, but at least for now, these are staff recommended topics that we think are crucial to achieve general plan consistency once we address them. And then the community plan will take into account and utilize natural and cultural features and resources, including watersheds, habitats, faults, farmland, groves, outcroppings, for preservation, conservation, and development within areas that the city deems appropriate for our sphere and our planning area. And then certainly San Juan Bautista, it's characterized by the absence of sprawl, typically, and compatibility between between existing and new developing areas is especially important. As we look at development, future development will be contiguous with the existing urban fabric that we have. And even though we're looking at compatibility between existing developed areas, where those developed areas are inconsistent and determined to be inconsistent with our residential design guidelines and with general plan aspirations for future development, we're not going to want to repeat those patterns. We're going to want to make sure that we have guidelines within the community plan that ensures consistency, compatibility with those basic standards that establish community character. And then the community plan would build upon the historic San Juan Bautista plan. You've heard mention of this evening, design guidelines and general plan elements to establish new design principles and guidelines, ensuring consistency with existing design principles. And this is important to understand that our design guidelines don't address every single possible contingency. We think that some expansion of those principles to cover a development in newly developing areas is going to be important. And then we want the plan to incorporate and refer to these design principles and methods to, and importantly, we always put our methods are important to preserve, conserve, protect, and enhance visual and physical access to iconic natural resource and open space areas. And reference here to the landscape level. And by that, we mean, if you look around San Juan Bautista and you look up and you look beyond, there's your landscape level. It's the areas that we have that establish our important community character and establish our context. Overall, when people drive by or come to San Juan Bautista, they recognize this character as our ambient character. And then the community plan will incorporate concepts to guide preservation, conservation, and development in newly growing areas, considering gateways, edges, neighborhood pattern and design, complete neighborhoods and streets, parking, housing choice, and architecture that celebrates our character, described and more specifically here. And then the community plan would reference design guidelines and standards that are not addressed or not sufficiently emphasized in existing guidelines to ensure the character of the community is enhanced and strengthened. So that we, as we do this, we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We are protecting our baby. So such references shall include standards and measures to foster creative placemaking and a shared common civic and community values and experiences. And then the community plan would reference policies, design guidelines, and programs to reduce automobile trips, ease traffic flow, really address the importance of transportation in protecting that character and responding to our need to address climate change. And then the community plan would incorporate provisions for a healthy community via our transportation choices and evolve principles to make sure that our access to local resources is conveniently provided. So those are the guiding principles currently under review by the City Council. We worked with our consultant to prepare these guiding principles, although I have to tell you that these principles are authored by both Dawn and I in conversations that we've had together about the importance of these guiding principles as the community plan goes forward as a way of establishing real confidence in our ability to undertake these important considerations on behalf of the community. So that's the information that I have. And I invite the Planning Commission to, and I'm sure I don't need to invite you, but certainly I think the discussion before the City Council on September 20th will be an important one. So that's the staff report, and that's the information that I have on those principles.
Lori, is there any public comment on internet or in person?
At this time, is there anybody in the public wishing to speak? Please raise your hand. I see no hands raised. Thank you. Is there
Okay.
any chambers, Brian?
No one
Unmute
here,
your-
no one here in the council chambers.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Commissioner Maderos, do you have any comments, concerns, or questions on this information?
Yeah, yeah, again, how is this connected to resolution 2022-13? You referenced that, you say it's a new resolution is coming before the city council, but then it also referenced 2022-13.
Yeah, that resolution is the resolution that established the community plan program.
Okay, so this would be a new resolution number establishing. Go ahead.
Yes, it would be a resolution of the city council to adopt guiding principles, either these or others, or maybe not. Maybe their city council will not want to establish guiding principles. And so really the issues before the city council whatever the city council does will be their decision. So there may or may not be a resolution adopting these principles, or there may be other principles also.
Okay, and just the silly question is, if we're bound to it, if it does become approved, what weight does it carry to go forward other than, it reference all of our municipal codes, it reference our general plan, it reference everything that we as far as guiding principles go. What weight do we think that this is going to carry going forward?
Well,
I mean, we've got the general plan, we got everything else. Is this something that another tool that we're going to use when we?
Well, yeah. So the community plan is a general plan level document or effort, and so it's in that context that plan is being prepared. So everything that we do will be at the level of the general plan and considered in that context.
Right. So
so the weight that the resolution before the city council is to direct staff and the planning commission to carefully consider these principles as amended once they're adopted.
If we don't carry these principles as we normally do every day. Now, I think I hear what you're saying with that. I know where we're going with this. I'm saying, yeah, we're going to stick to a plan, and it's just another method, another tool to ensure that we're moving forward with a community plan. I got it. Okay, thanks.
Correct.
Thank you, Chair Maderos. Chair Correa?
No comments.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Morris Lopez?
Yes, this is just comment that staff is entertaining that we present, correct? I just want to clarify that.
This is strictly for information.
Information and our individual comments. Okay.
Information.
Okay, information. So I'm a little bit confused as to why this is being kicked back to the Planning Commission, other than I guess it's just information. I attended the last city council meeting, and it appears that they actually kicked it back, said we need more time to look at that. So for me as an individual planning commissioner, that sort of raises a flag for me that this is a little bit confusing and concerning to some of the council members. And I have to say that some of the verbiage that you're using is very general, like guiding principles. What are the guiding principles? And as far as I understand, I was given quite a few workbooks to work from as a planning commissioner. And one of them was, of course, the general plan that is valid until 2035. And so my question being with this, with the resolution that the city council may or may not fully understood that they gave you direction to go ahead and develop the guiding principles. This was all stated in our general plan. So that I think is confusing to me, is that we already have this written. Also, if we are going to amend anything, I'm not sure that the guiding principles are really the vehicle to do the amendment to our plan, because I understood that the general plan could be amended up to 4 times a year, and then in general every 5 years. And what I understand is that has not been done. So it's my confusion or my concern, my comments. I just want to put that out there for the public and the audience and the rest of us commissioners. And also, how does this document align itself, which I find very useful. And personally, I feel the guidelines in this little pamphlet that I was provided, and I'm gonna refer to it because I've been reading a lot. It's the historical resource plan for San Juan Bautista. And it really, really succinctly addresses all of those principles that the community really outlined as far as growth, because one of the things that's also occurring right now in the county level is that one of the supervisors, Bob Tiffany, is actually asking for the general plan at the county level to be amended by eliminating 4 principal areas for future development. And one of those 4 areas is San Juan Bautista. So I don't know if anyone is aware of that, it's kept up with that. So the guiding principles for me, like I said, they're just a little bit vague. We have documentation that addresses it, that is currently standard. And if it's not, maybe it's time to look at amending our general plan. And also we have a nice document that just deals with the historic principles of our town in terms of guiding us for growth and development. And I did hear you mention, my ears perked up when you said developments that are already in existence, but new developments that have come up. And as I understand, one of the new developments, and you said that maybe they wouldn't follow because that may have been a mistake. And one of them I can think of is that we do have a hillside code, obstruction of hillside view, and I can think of it right out the bat is the Copperleaf development. That just totally obliterated any view of looking at our hills to the south. So, for me, this is a very important document. I know that I don't have any power as a commissioner to move this forward, but it's just hopefully my comments will fall upon ears or individuals that might start to look at this, because once it's gone, our hillside views and our open land. And I keep hearing this term New San Juan or South San Juan, and that concerns me because I think of our original San Juan. And, we have plenty of infill that we can do there. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Morris Lopez. Chair Correa, do you have any comments, concerns, or questions on this?
No questions, no comments, no concerns.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of confused with Vice Chair about this resolution. Also, we did not have a joint meeting on June 13th because 2 of the city planners left. So I'm concerned about that verbiage in the resolution.
That would be city council members.
Yeah, city council members. It was 2 that left.
They lost the forum.
They left the forum, so I don't believe we did have that agenda or that meeting, or it could be considered. It was just, we changed it to an informational. And it's a lot to consume, and I get what you guys want to do, but like Jackie said, it's already in our general plans in the Historical Society. So I don't know where to go from here. Maybe you can give us some guidance or something.
Well, if you'd like, a couple things. I think there's a lot of conflating different kinds of things that the city is doing with the community plan, and also with respect to the informational item on the Planning Commission agenda. So this is not guiding principles are not, or proposed guiding principles are not being kicked back to the Planning Commission. They are going forward to the City Council on September 20th for further review. And City Council was concerned that there's a lot there, and there certainly is a lot there with respect to how the community plan will address issues that are important to community character. And the importance of these principles, at least our intention, was to provide some confidence that that the city is actually taking our guidelines, our published guidelines, our general plan policies into account as we move the community plan forward. And understanding that these resources that we have are all going to be employed as we determine what our sphere of influence and potentially an urban growth boundary looks like. So that's the purpose of the guiding principles. It's just basically a succinct list of things that are reflective of already adopted plans, policies, and programs in one place to make sure that everybody understands how this plan will proceed. So that's basically it. And hope that answers your questions. There's a lot there about in various comments about amending a general plan 4 times a year, et cetera, You know, we're not community plan, as I mentioned, is a general plan level plan. You know, the sphere of influence will result in a general plan amendment that will require a CEQA review. It will be accompanied by a municipal services review and a bunch of other stuff that the City Council will consider based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission when it gets to that point. So we just you know, want to make sure that people understand the basic foundational foundation that we have in one place, so that people can see exactly what the community plan fundamentally is all about. Okay, so hopefully that answers your questions.
Chair,
Right. Yes, yes.
Chair, I just want to correct you. The document that I'm referring to is the San Juan Bautista historic San Juan Bautista plan, excuse me. And it is a study that was done by a group. And so that is a document. It's not the Historical Society. It's called Historic San Juan Bautista Plan.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. Okay, with that, any other rebuttals? Thank you, Brian. And the next information that you have on the agenda would be the active transportation plan, 4B. Brian?
A very brief update on the active transportation plan. There will be a project advisory group meeting coming up middle of the month. We're trying to establish that as September 15th. That will be followed by another public engagement meeting where a preliminary draft active transportation plan and progress report will be shared. So things are moving ahead with respect to the active transportation plan. You know, we did community plan public meetings. That was followed pretty quickly by active transportation plan public meetings. And sort of may have gotten lost in the shuffle. So I'm looking forward to having a focus on the active transportation plan. As you know, that's a grant funded planning program to look at bicycling, walking, and transportation improvements in San Juan Bautista. And we originally, that plan was all about linkages. So, you know, it's called a community connectivity plan. So that's where we're headed. And that's just an update.
Thank you, Brian. Is there anybody in the audience or online that would like to speak about this?
Brian, is there anybody in the council chambers that would like to speak on this?
There's no one in the council chambers that wishes
Okay,
to
thank
speak.
you. Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience at this time online that would like to speak to this item? Please press star 9 if you're on your phone, or raise your hand and you will be called upon. I see nobody wishing to speak at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Maderos, do you have any comments, concerns, or questions?
On this particular item, no.
Okay. Commissioner Correa?
No.
Thank you. Vice Chair Morris Lopez, your hand's up.
Brian, will the active transportation plan, is it mainly for pedestrian walkway trails and bike trails, or would it also include the local transit bus coming to town a little bit more frequently? Will that be included as well?
Yeah, the plan emphasizes the formation of complete streets, which would incorporate all modes of active transportation, bicycling, walking, and so forth. So I guess skateboards might be included in there.
Oh, that sounds like fun. How about some rental scooters somewhere?
No, you don't want.
Yes, active transportation. Yes, that would be an active transportation vehicle. So yeah, and the idea is how do you get from all the important places here in town in a way that's walkable and able to be bicycled with appropriate improvements to our street system to safely accommodate all those activities.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jackie, do you have another question? Your hand's raised. Okay, thank you. Brian, thank you for your information. Like I said, when I talked to you about transportation, it would be great if we could have a airport shuttle connect with the MST that picks up in Broomdale. That would be fantastic. Just food for thought, but thank you for that information. The next information is 4C, Rosa House.
Yes, the city, based on the questions that we had previous planning commission meetings about the boardwalk at the Rosa House, we did commission a right-of-way agent to undertake a review to determine whether those improvements are public or private. And it was determined through that review that the improvements at the boardwalk and the canopy are in fact private improvements. And that suggests different various and different ways of addressing any public safety issues. So that's just a very brief update. We haven't done anything to at this point to determine exactly what it is the city should do or not, considering that those are private improvements. And so we are continuing to talk about that as staff. And at some point, there will be a way to address any issues that affect public safety that we're aware of. So that's just a question that was on the Planning Commission agenda last time that we have resolved.
Okay, so we're still gonna look into some other stuff about safety of the building and so forth, correct?
Yes, that will be a part of our evaluation.
All right, thank you.
And we do have public testimony here in the council chambers.
Okay. Okay, is there any public comment in the chambers and online? Lori?
Brian, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can't hear Brian. You're on mute.
I need to be unmuted. Okay, just a little bit of background about Rose's house. When the former owner still lived there, he did approach some people in the community. And I was part of that, and Chris Lee, who was an architect in town. The street there is highly crowned. And so it puts a lot of water under that house. And the gentleman who lived there, the father actually of Shauna, his name, he went by Scotty, had rigged up some kind of a little system, a pumping system to try to keep the water out from under his house. And next door, you've got the Bluebird. And I think the gutter there also directed water under the house. So we actually went and got a bid, construction bid, and all that kind of stuff to try to get the city to do something. And I think the construction involved maybe some kind of a curb in front of that deck area. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that it's not just, I think there may be significant water issues, especially in the winter, and maybe the city can help. We tried to get the city to help at that time, but there was no money available, of course. Thank you.
Can I ask Cara a question? Cara?
Yes.
That was public access before the prior city manager put those barricades up, correct?
I don't think so. I think it's been private property. That's my personal view.
I remember 2009, it was open to the public. Anyways, no more public comments?
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this item? Please raise your hand. I see no hands raised at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Maderos, you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
I do not.
Commissioner Correa?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Vice Chair Morris Lopez?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the city has now determined that this property is private. I understand that it also has a nonprofit status. It may or may not be, may not be dealing with, I think, kind of similar situation with the previous meeting, if you permit me to digress to our HRB meeting where we had the owners of a home that wanted to put an addition, and they determined that there was quite a few issues with the dry rot and weak support of their trusses and whatnot. So kind of makes me think that if we got into exploring or investigating this structure, and it is a valued structure. I'm not trying to diminish any value in this property. The dilemma is that it's used as a private home. I understand that. And once again, we do not want to throw anyone out of their home. But I feel like the city has the tools to hopefully help the property owner, but also the status of a nonprofit, being a designated historical landmark in our town. It's got a plaque there. We know it to be historical. I mean, can all these entities help the individuals by starting some point? Because as I understand, the barricades have been there since 2015. It's a long time to have done nothing. So hopefully we can get the ball rolling. I mean, this is a first step, declaring it as now we know private, but now the next step I think needs to happen quickly. We need to make a motion of someone needs to help the individuals, you know, with this beautiful building, and it's rich in history, and we want everyone to be safe. So what would be the next step by the city?
Is that a question?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the next step, as I've outlined before, just very generally, is to figure out whether there are any public safety issues there. And really, the owners are not asking for help at this point, but let's assume that the city does obtain resources, funds to assist historic properties in San Juan Bautista, that this project or this property might be eligible for some of those assistance funds, and along with all the other properties that may require you know, some in-depth work. So, you know, I mean, it's part of our care and concern about our historic resources, that we would develop those funding opportunities. People want to take advantage of them. And, you know, it's really up to the owners.
Thank you, Brian. I recall Shauna Frills indicating that in 2015, the city manager put him up because he said it was unsafe. She said that vocally in a public meeting, and there was rite of passage for people to walk down that street as they do in front of my street and everybody else's street. So with that, it was public passage. And if it was unsafe for the city manager to close off that area, was he an engineer? Did he get a structural engineer? And he just said it's unsafe and did that? Don't we have to get some kind of engineering or code enforcement to say it's unsafe and red tag it, not just exclude the public from walking on public right of way? And I agree with Cara that we have a people to write for grants, and like Brian said, that we should not only help the Shauna Frills for that house, but the other historical homes around this beautiful town. And it is a beautiful structure, and I'm about safety for the city, for the people that live there. And if their arch is bowing and they're putting plywood on that, is it safe or not? That's what we need to do. And how do we move this forward to get an action item to have the city make it inquire whether it's safe or not? And if it's safe, then we should take down the barricades because the city manager put them up, as per Shauna Frills divulging that information. That's all I have. With that, let's move to 5 comments. Planning Commission. Commissioner Maderos, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Do I have any comments? You mean, period?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to, we spoke earlier in the Historic Resources Board about taking classes, training, and whatever it is that we're subject to, and the city's willing to pay for it. The only thing I like to throw out in that regard is the fact that we don't have a what do you call it, accountability for when we're taking those classes or sessions that we are involved with. and as a follow-up, and also accreditation. I mean, after you've got a planning commission member who, or a historical resource board who's going through all this training, and they get moved out of that position because they come to the end of their term, or they decide to remove themselves, you know, where does that information go? I'd like to think that all the classes that I've taken thus far, all the training that we've had thus far, that we get accounted for that, and some kind of accreditation that goes along with it. You know, to say that we actually did it. And not only that is, how do we apply it? You know, yeah, we apply it. That's kind of interesting that we have all this information. How do we apply it? Do we need, for instance, I like to think that I get invited after I've been to a session, perhaps let everybody know what happened during that session, and maybe we could all learn something from that as well. And also put me on the spot that I even had a chance to learn something as well. So accreditation, accountability for our training needs to be upgraded somewhat from what we've been doing. And also to help us when it comes to selecting and appointing of future applicants who want to become commissioners and what have you. How do we, you know, bring them into making sure that they're given the opportunities to, if there's any areas that need to be improved as far as what they need to know, anything that needs to do with planning commission, anything that has to do with the historic resources and what have you. You know, that they would need to know what kind of program do we have available for them? What do we tell our applicants when they're applying for any appointed position that they may be involved with? Let them know that okay, you know, why? In other words, when you want to become a planning commissioner, when you want to become a board member, what is it that we expect from you? And some candidates might say, hey, you know, I really don't have any experience as far as municipal administration, what have you. You know, but that doesn't mean I can't be appointed, because I'm willing to learn as much as I can, because let me tell you what my background is, yada, yada, and how we can use that. So I think we need to put more emphasis on the fact that when we do some training, like we were always being asked to do, what's the accountability to do to make sure that we actually go to those classes? And if we do, what do we have to say about them? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Medeiros. Chair Correa, any comments, concerns, or questions that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I just, following up on David's comments there, as a brand new rookie, I've been deluged with all sorts of materials, and I'm looking forward to some classes and stuff. And there's clearly a plethora of information to absorb, and rules and regulations and guidelines and plans, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I don't think that's a bad idea to have some sort of informational package for an applicant for any position where you're going to be forced or encouraged to attend these classes and learn all this information. That's all.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Morris Lopez, any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for a great meeting tonight. The information was on point. Appreciate staff's hard work to present the information to us, and also come up with a recommendation or a action item for us to request that the city council take action on the ADUs. As you know, we have been requesting that for a long time, sometimes sounding like a broken record in stereo, coming from Chair Delgado and myself, the vice chair. So thank you once again, Brian, for putting that into a resolution for city council. Also want to once again welcome Mr. Tony Correa to our planning commission, as we are now in the planning commission meeting. And I look forward to working with you. And yes, it's an arduous task to volunteer in something that maybe is not in your wheelhouse. My background is medicine, so planning commission stuff is is, it's not usually what I read and study, but I'm willing to learn. And I think if an individual has the devotion or commitment to learn new things and to have a desire to help their community in terms of zoning and land use and preservation, historical preservation, all the aspects that we're asked to be tasked with both wearing 2 hats as an HRB member and also a planning commissioner. Avail yourself to any free trainings or provided paid trainings that the city might afford us. I think that's what we can ask for. I'm not so sold on having someone be it required that they have this background in planning or development or municipal managers, whatnot, those types. I think that excludes maybe some very energetic individuals that would have the passion to learn and to do good work for the community. So I don't see that as a prerequisite. I think that it would eliminate individuals. But anyway, everybody stay cool, have a good evening, and see you at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Morris Lopez. Chair Maderos, you had your hand raised? David?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm having a brain freeze right now. But anyway, for instance, I understand that within the city council, certain people went to the planning commission, one of these sessions for planning commissioners. And my question to anybody who does that, okay, what are you going to do with that? It's interesting that you did that. How are you going to apply that back to us, to the city council, or what? I don't know. It's nice to know that we're all on board and as far as the training goes, but we don't have a conversation or any kind of dialogue after that. So we need to go through these training sessions and we need to have a dialogue saying, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're learning. It's new stuff or it's old stuff. Maybe we should start practicing different methods as we learn and as we go that would be beneficial to the city. So, hey, if you're paying us to do these things, to go through these sessions, we can come back to you and let you know how we can apply it and be accountable for that at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Maderos. With that, I want to say in the prior the Trish times, she was not keeping account. Brian has asked us what training we have gone to, and he does keep a record. So thank you, Brian, for that. I've shown him that I've gone. I've talked to him because I too have gone to him, but he says I have to register to get the credit. So that's one thing that you might want to bring, write down and then email the people. Do I get a certificate or something? But without that, Brian will record what training we do go to. And Tony, welcome. Thank you for caring enough to give your time to the HRB and the planning. And you are beating the drum of Vice Chair Morris Lopez. She said that we should have a booklet for new people coming in for chairs. So this has been discussed. Jackie has said there needs to be some kind of, hey, your feet are in here. You got to do this, expect this. So yes, we hear you. Thank you again for coming on board. And yeah, we just have to be, I guess, present, engaging, and caring, and represent our community. And that's all I want to do is the safety of our community. I want to make sure that everybody is heard and there's transparency in the city, which it's coming to some degree. And I pray that it comes more. And thank you, Dawn, for coming to some kind of resolution on the ADUs. Thank you for hearing me out and finally getting it to a resolution. Brian, thank you for the information, the talk, and it was on point, like Jackie says. Thank you, Lori, for being our city clerk. Thank you for everybody that has attended today's meeting and every day. I wish there was more attendees so we can hear the public, what they need so we can move forward. With that, do we have any more comments from the executive board or anything? I mean, the chair?
No,
Okay. Does it,
I motion this meeting be adjourned.
wait, we have to ask if Brian has the community developer director report. Anything else to say, Brian?
No, I'm good. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you. Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion that the meeting be adjourned.
I mean, we can conclude the meeting, I'm sorry. Can I have a motion?
I motion that the meeting be adjourned.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Can we have a roll call, Lori, please?
Thank you, Tony.
Commissioner Morris Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Correa,
Yes.
Commissioner Madero.
Yes.
Yes, we are adjourned.
4-0. Meeting is adjourned at 8:22.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.